Which gas V8 should you buy from Ford, the 6.8 or the 7.3? We'll find out in today's comparison. I'll include a link to the Murdoch, Ford, and Santa Quinn's website in the description down below. They're providing us with both these trucks. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. The 6.8 goes through a 10-speed automatic and it produces 405 horsepower, 445 pound-feet of torque. The 7.3 also goes through a 10-speed automatic and it produces 430 horsepower, 475 pound-feet of torque. So a bit more horsepower and torque with the 7.3. We're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Before we move forward with this comparison, I do need to mention some faults with this comparison. Both of these trucks are pretty similarly equipped, but the 6.8 is the XL with the STX, and then that's an XLT with the black appearance. So the XLT has a few more features, for example, side steps. But the biggest difference is the wheelbase. That truck's a long bed, that truck is a standard bed, so the 7.3 is a standard bed. But both of these trucks are 350s, so that's at least comparable. Anywho, with 11,900 pounds of gross vehicle weight rating on the 6.8, we've got 4,958 pounds of payload. Now, the 7.3 has the downgraded gross vehicle weight rating, so 11,499 pounds. So then we have 4,313 pounds of payload capacity. Now when it comes to towing capacity, both of them are going to be in the high teens with a fifth wheel, and bumper pull is going to be a little bit less. Now if we take a look at the window sticker of the 7.3, you guys can see it's a $1,500 option. Again, unlike the diesels, the V8s aren't going to really change things all that much. And this particular XLT after everything is actually $73,235. Now the 6.8 is a no-cost option, but you'll note that the 373 locking axle that is standard equipment with the 7.3, or no charge rather, is 430 bucks with the 6.8. So that kind of decreases the price gap. Anyways, 62,070 with this XL with the STX. Let's take these trucks out and see if there is a performance difference between them. This week's giveaway highlight is perfect for Mustang enthusiasts. The first car is a 60th anniversary GT convertible. You can't make a better date night car than that. The next car is a 1966 K-Code Mustang. It's got a V8, it's got a 4-speed manual, perfect for enthusiasts. And this is what you think of when you think of the word Mustang. Now, not only are the two Mustangs part of this giveaway, but also $34,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes. And your donations go towards helping children's and veterans charities. So use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. This will give you 4x bonus entries with any donation, $25 or more. Let us set off in the 6.8 first, and then we'll do the 7.3 second. See which one drives the best. Man, the turning radius on a vehicle with solid axles, front, rear, and happens to be as long as like a boat. Yeah, it's not the greatest, but you know, that's the price you pay for extreme levels of capability. Or at least what I think is extreme levels of capability. I mean, this thing is tons of payload, especially with the upgraded gross vehicle weight rating. Tons of payload, tons of towing. And you know, I think the biggest difference to the towing between them is going to just be the feel. So the 6.8 here, smooth, torquey. I think that's the best way to describe it. Smooth and torquey. Man, it's quite something how this suspension actually handles over everything. For a solid axle vehicle, it's actually decently comfortable. And the torque is really appealing, if you ask me. You can see we're just hovering. And I need to remind you guys, we're over 5,000 feet above sea level here. So, this is no small feat for the truck. Seats are pretty comfortable with this too. Yeah, it just feels like it's got a lot of low-end grunt to it. Reminds me of Ram's 6.4 Hemi quite a bit, where that engine just feels like it's got tons and tons of torque. On the low end. Come on, truck. Ah! We're getting bogged down in two-wheel drive. Man, I haven't had that happen in a long time. Smooth, though. Yeah, I might have to pop the other one into 4x4 for that. Got street tires on. So, yeah, the 6.8, like I said, it's a torquey beast. It'll be interesting to see how the 6.8 compares to the 7.3. But yeah, it seems like this engine's character is all about torque so far. Ford 7.3. Well, man, is this actually quieter? It shouldn't be. See, it almost feels more insulated jump into this truck, but I think it's just in my head. It should not be on paper. Shouldn't be at all. The engine sounds kind of beefier right off the bat. Like it sounds kind of more of like a muscle car engine. Yeah, see, it's not as, it's weird. It has more torque, but it doesn't have the same low end grunt that you have in the 6.8. The 6.8 kind of, it's not quite on the level of a diesel, but feels kind of more diesel-like. Whereas this feels more like a gas V8 comparison. I think a good comparison that I can make is like Ram's 5.7 versus their 6.4. You get in the 5.7 Hemi, and it's got power and everything, but it definitely, you got to bring it out a little bit. It's a little bit of a top-end engine. But then the 6.4, it's like, boom, torque right off the bat. That's kind of what the 6.8 versus the 7.3 feels like. The 6.8 is like, boom, torque right off the bat. Whereas this is kind of like, you got to dig into it a little bit. It's got great power, but it happens at a little bit of a higher RPM range. Still very smooth with the overall delivery. So I guess this will lead us into conclusions. So from a capability standpoint, I mean, you're kind of all the same, right? It's kind of sixes. You know, whether you should go for the 6.8 or the 7.3, because payload's going to be pretty similar. Again, if you have the same gross vehicle weight rating, it's going to be pretty similar there. Your towing capacity is going to be pretty similar. I mean, I guess this does have more horsepower and torque, so in theory it should tow a little bit better because of the extra power, but I think in the real world it's probably not going to feel like that much of a difference. Man, these Super Duties really, without all-terrain tires, really struggle in the gravel in two-wheel drive. I think it's going to come down to use and just your preference with the drive. If you're okay with wringing out the engine a little bit more in the 7.3, This can be the way to go. And also cost, right? The 6.8's a little bit less expensive. So if you want to save yourself a little bit of money. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know which engine you'd go for. They're very, very similar, but there's also a big enough difference that, you know, depending on your use, I would imagine the 7.3 is kind of more about towing, and the 6.8 is probably more about hauling. That's at least what it looks like.